On this channel, we are always trying to do the right thing when it comes to tattooing and making sure everybody tattoos safely and just does things correctly. And the best way to legally tattoo is to get into a shop, unless you live in a place where that's not required. But where I live, in order to tattoo legally, you have to be in a shop where they can regulate you and keep an eye on what you're doing and making sure that you are tattooing safely and that you are being sanitary. So I encourage everybody to take this course. Even if you don't pay for the certificate, you can still go through the course. It's a free course. You just pay for the certificate if you need it. So that's the American Academy of CPR and First Aid. I would go check them out. Learn some things about bloodborne pathogens and how to keep yourself safe and how to keep other people safe. I'm going to go ahead and make the conversion over to the RCA system on all my machines. Now, I don't really like how thin this wire is, but because of the time frame I have, I'm just going to hook these up, and if I have to make some changes, I'll do those later. But for now, I'll just use what I have here. So on a traditional coil machine, you usually just have the setup for a clip cord, but you can put an RCA adapter on there, and you usually have these posts that your clip cord goes into, or you have a post in the back, a rear post, and then this hole here where your clip cord goes into the rear deck. But on this one, you have these posts on the side where your clip cord connects to. Now, again, with the clip cord, and problems you have with the clip cord is sometimes you don't get a good connection in here, or sometimes your clip cord's a little worn out, so this is real loose and it moves around, and it's just not a real good connection, and you kind of get sputtering and your machine turning on and off. So when it comes to clip cords, there's just more problems. Sometimes the posts are so close that you have a hard time getting these into the post, like this one here, and this one has really small hole too, so it's hard to get that in there. I would have to adjust this a little bit to make this work correctly. So there's a lot of issues with the clip cords that this RCA connection will just get rid of. So right off the bat, something caught my attention. When I was checking the direction of my capacitor, I remembered this coil machine has the negative to the rear and the positive to the front. And usually when I hook up my tattoo machines, I like to have the positive on the rear post and the negative on the front. And if you look at your capacitor here, you can see which direction it's going. And on all of my machines, I hook them up the same direction. That way the rear post is always positive. And because I did not mess with these coils yet, the rear post on this one's negative. So that's something you have to pay attention to when you are hooking up your RCA adapter, because this is your positive, and then your casing here is your ground, and that should go to your frame, or in this case, if you have a post that goes to your frame, that's where that's going to go. These adapters are kind of cheap. You know, this gauge wire isn't very thick gauge wire. Sometimes when you have too thin of a wire, especially with like your clip cords and stuff, it constricts the power that goes through there, and you have to up your voltage and stuff. So one of these days when I have some time, what I'll probably do is I'll just pull this off and solder a thicker gauge wire on here. But I checked it out, I already ran it, and it runs fine. You can see once I had my positive hooked up to my post, I just needed to hook up this adapter, the ground, to the frame, which this post right here just goes to the frame of this machine. See, this will fit nice and snug around this adapter. Let me show you how this connects. So that's right there, but I have to give it a little push. I have to force it a little bit to go the entire way, because it's going to hold on to that nice and snug. In order for me to pull this off, I have to force it a little bit to come on. So push it on, and what that does is that gives me a nice tight connection with my RCA, so that I don't have any problems while I'm tattooing.